What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 20 of Conversations with Dmon Drizzy, co-host Nisha. So, today is just us today coming to y'all with another topic. So today we're going to be discussing mixing friendship with business. So, that's going to be today's topic. So, let's just, before we dive into that, how y'all doing, man?
Pretty good.
All right, up here, you know.
NBA. Did anybody watch the NBA Finals?
I didn't see it.
Yeah,
No.
man. The Knicks deserve to win. That's all I gotta say.
I'm just gonna say once it got 3-1, I knew they was gonna take it.
Spurs didn't want it. That's all.
Yeah, no, I feel that. And I like the Spurs, but I was telling my brother, I feel like as a team, they was kind of good. They fell off. They're very inconsistent. So I'm glad New York got one up. But when I found out who was in the finals, and then when I found out who won, I was very shocked. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. So yeah, because they ain't been in one in what 50 years. 50 was the last time they won one, but I think they went to the championships in the 90s at some point. But yeah.
And like I said, between both teams, there's a lot of young energy out there on the court. So it was a good playoff run. Yeah, but I wasn't going for neither team, but the Knicks, they deserved it though.
They did.
Jalen Brunson had 45 points, so it was that the last game. So yeah, they deserved it, man.
Shout out to the Knicks.
Shout out to the Knicks. But man, jumping into today's topic, like we were just discussing off camera, the thing about it is, reason why I wanted to talk about this topic is because, as we've been doing business, we realize like it ain't always good to go into business with your close friends because, once y'all, this is what y'all think. Y'all think y'all got the same vision, but once y'all start working, then now you see one of y'all willing to put more work in, the other one person willing to work 12 hours, the other person may not want to work that long again. Then y'all start clashing with the business, and then now it's gonna dive into the friendship. And I like what you said. You was like, you gotta know who you're dealing with, because if you're dealing with a person that's, they really ain't got no hard work and drive, then the results you're gonna get, they not gonna want to put that much work in as you put in. So you gotta consider the person's, abilities. Do they like to work hard? Because you are who you hang around. Let's be honest. That's you are who you hang around.
Right. For sure. Nah, I mean it's a tricky thing. I wouldn't say so much a business, but just like with my social media, my platform, there's a brand behind it. You become a brand. Like you're speaking on these topics and people are there for your ideas, so you become the brand. And I noticed when that started to become a big thing for me, how that changed the nature of my relationships. And it's just, I tell people all the time, my work is not for everybody. Not everybody is included in this work. They might be a spectator of it, but that doesn't mean that the work is for them. Because you see how people treat it. Like you said, you have to know who you're dealing with. It doesn't make you a bad friend. It doesn't make you a bad person if you're just not a business-minded person. But a lot of people think, oh, well, this is my friend and I care about them, so clearly I'm gonna stand by my friend and be loyal and do it. You're not gonna suddenly become motivated just off the strength of your relationship to do something that you're not good at, not passionate about, not equipped for. But a friend shows up. So if you are somebody that's like, I know I don't have this, but I want to commit, I want to be there. You can show up earnestly. But again, that's a relationship that builds time, trust, all those different things. It's not going to be everybody. Not every friend is going to be able to fill that role. Right. And so, you kind of have to discern, like, who can I let in to the work that I do and who is just a spectator of it. It doesn't make them a bad friend or the friend that, by all means, is willing and wants to show up, but just, that they just don't have it. Like, I see your dedication, your commitment. It doesn't mean anything about you as a person. Don't take it personally, but this is business. And so I have to set these boundaries because your well-meaning, well-intentions, that doesn't translate to real dollars, at the end of the day. So, yeah. No, you have to know what you and who you're dealing with and the strength of the friendship that you have to be able to even know who to bring to the table to offer something like that too. So, because I've seen it fall apart. I've seen it fall apart multiple times.
Yeah, because like you say, two people could be on the same page like at first, but they start bumping heads, and that's when the conflicts come in. I'd be like, well, I thought we were on the same page. I guess we're going different directions.
So what were some of the issues that y'all had? Like, not even speaking on like, specific situations or anything, but just some of the common pitfalls that, you all saw when you had friends involved, if you had friends involved, to begin with, or just learning from other people's mistakes. What were some things that y'all saw?
Well, I'm gonna start off with something. I'm gonna let Drizzy talk. We actually, I wouldn't say this guy was a real close friend. He was just a person I was cool with from high school. Yeah, he was willing. He came the first episode of Captain. He came and shot the scene with us, and he only had one scene. We didn't even write him in before, because we didn't know Captain was gonna be a full series.
Yeah,
it was just supposed to start off as a short film. So we put him in this one scene. So a couple of weeks later, he called my phone one morning, and he was like, long story short, he basically said, well, I feel like the scene that I was in, I don't like myself in that. So he was wanting to take the episode down to make himself look good. And he was telling the videographer, I'll pay you whatever you need. I said, so Brody, if you was gonna cause all this commotion, bro, I would have rather you just said no to begin with.
Right.
And by that time, the episode is already out. So he pulled this a day after the episode was already out, talking about, I'll pay you to take it down. But I just started thinking, like, after that, you just can't, certain people, you gotta see red flags for you do business with them. And then, we had another person, like I said, we're not name dropping, but we had another person who was always late. It got to a habit where videographer was complaining. And we worked with her on 2 projects, and she 30 minutes to an hour late every time. And the attitude she had, okay, well, y'all not paying me, so I can just keep showing up late. I'm like, no, this is a business, because vice versa. If you had a show, you had people working for you, but you want your employees to show up late, I don't think you'll want that. So yeah, we kind of dealt with a lot, and that's what, like they say, the more exposure you get, the more problems you're gonna have. So now I'm really starting to see what that means.
Right. No, I get you.
Yeah, piggyback off here, we also had another co-star was on the same page with us. Like, we was all supposed to be a team, like, in paying wise, and she was like, where our money going at? And I understand that, you want to know where the money goes at, but I feel like she didn't want to pay anyway, so that was what I feel. So that's what the friction me and her had. I blocked her. Oh, so I guess she didn't like that. I guess she didn't like that. I guess the co-star didn't like that. So
hey, reasonably, whether it was warranted or not, they're not gonna like it. You know what I mean? Nah. So what I hear then is just like lack of commitment and lack of communication. Hearing just people just not taking your time seriously, right? And then you have people who are not willing to invest and just aren't trusting the vision, trusting the process. So yeah, that about sums it up. Those are probably the most common things that you're gonna see, right? Like, speaking on your first situation, right? So you've got the person who spent all this time and then all this, and then I don't like this. You committed to the project. You know what you mean? It's like, it's one thing if it's misrepresenting who you are as a person. It's one thing if it's something that's genuinely like gonna cause harm or like debase you or in some way, right? But it's a skit. Like it really and you knew what it was going into it. So going back on your word, and then you are, you're jeopardizing the integrity of the art that I'm trying to do. Yeah, no, I mean it's unacceptable, and it just is like, okay, the flip side of it, is you get to see, then it starts revealing to you who really is a friend, right? Because like, okay, I'm gonna speak on the second situation, someone who's always late. I'm never on time. Like I do not. I'm like, if somebody say be there at 8 o'clock, I'm there at 8:05, and I know this about myself, right? So that's why for important things, I'm early. You know what I mean? Like y'all know I'm early. Everything that we do, I'm there. I'm early. Okay, very much.
But you're talking about 5 minutes compared to damn near half
an hour. And that's what I'm saying. It's like you know what you're willing and you're not willing to accept, right? So because I know that, like, okay, I have the tendency to be 5-10 minutes late, I'm gonna give you that 5-10 minutes. Okay, 15, I'm texting you like, hey, you still come where you at? Because now at this point, it gets to a point. You know what I mean? I think we all have this kind of social understanding of what's acceptable lateness and what is kind of, pushing that boundary. You showing up 20, 30 minutes late, it doesn't matter if you're getting paid, because again, you committed to this. Yeah. So you're wasting people's time when you've told them that you're gonna, put in your effort and your energy, and that you're okay with the conditions of, this endeavor, and then you're not. You knew you wasn't getting paid. So why bring it up as an issue now as to why, I got to get mine back by, if you feel like you could be earning money with your time, and that's a little 20, 30 minutes, then do that. But don't make it anybody else's issue. You know what I mean? Because again, it's the integrity of the art. Everything for a lot of people is money. Everything is transactional. Yeah, you got to get paid. And at the end of the day, it's only so much money in the world. You know what I mean? It's a finite resource. So, and a lot of people have this very one-dimensional view of money. So that's why they don't see it as this is a finite resource. They don't really even know what it is to be able to appreciate it. And that's why they're always talking about it, because they're always chasing it instead of allowing, it to come, and just really focusing on what's the here and now. What do I do that brings joy? Is everything that I do have to bring a check or some immediate benefit? And they project it onto you, and it's not fair. You know what I mean? And a friend is not going to do that. And it's the same thing with the person who, I committed and I backed out for no good reason, and now I'm infringing upon the integrity of your art. A friend is not going to do that. So when you put people in these business situations where it's like, okay, they say, they don't mix business with pleasure, because your friendship gets sticky. Right. But the friend who is really a friend is like gonna come and be like, okay, I have this tendency to be late, so I'm gonna check this at the door. Or if I can't check at the door, I'm gonna accept whatever they're saying about their business, and either I'm gonna change my behavior and reflect, or I'm gonna part ways amicably and not make them feel bad for knowing what they will and won't accept. A friend knows when is more important to, like, okay, I'm gonna stick to this business, or hey, I can't give you this, so I'm gonna preserve our friendship. They know what that line is. And somebody who is really your friend is going to show up, or they are going to bow out gracefully. There's no in between. So if people are giving you anything that's not that, then it's this like, okay, well, now I can see our relationship has these flaws. I can't trust you in this way. Exactly, yeah. Exactly. And it's not to say the person is a bad person. It's not to say that they're a bad friend overall. It's not even to say that they're a bad friend to you, like, as a whole. But in this moment, they're not your friend. In this moment, now you have to start questioning, if this is how they treat me on this, well then, what are the motives behind even all the good things that they do? You know what I mean? So you draw that distance, and you say, well, now that I know that I can't trust you with this, I know that on a level, on an intimate level with our friendship relationship, I can't trust you with XYZ. Because anytime you set a boundary, that's because there's some type of action behind that boundary that you won't tolerate. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, if you know that you're not able to tolerate, that also means that you're not able to give something out of that. So, for instance, right, like, if I know that I can't tolerate you being late, right, that means I also cannot give you those extra 5-10 minutes or whatever. So that now means that if you're going to keep disrespecting my time, well, I don't have to put in as much time to be on time for you. I'm not going to be disrespectful because that's not who I am, but I'm going to treat you casually because that's how you treat me. And you know what I mean? And a friend who is like, okay, yeah, this is probably the arrangement we need to have for both of our peace of mind to maintain the friendship, that maybe we don't need to be as close as before. Somebody that really is your friend, they don't care about how much access they have to you. They'll take that on the chin because they know I got to be accountable for my actions. And somebody who's not, before it got into your business, now you've been given the vessel through your business to see okay, these are the snakes I gotta cut out the grass before it touches your money. So you gotta see it like when you see them situations, it's fucked up, but you also gotta see it as a blessing too. So, you know, it's a sticky situation, but inevitably you'll need a team and you'll want the team to be the people closest to you. You do have to kind of mix business and friendship in those lines and trust sometimes. But then, like you were saying, there's also some people you just, before the door, you like, no, I'm not even going to give them the opportunity. Because you just know your proximity to your different friends, you know what I mean, who you can trust with this and that, and you can't trust with this and that, so.
And then, too, I gotta throw this out here. So, I remember it was one of the episodes that she was in, and she didn't like how she was portrayed because the day that the episode was shot, so I remember it was a bad storm that day, you know, thunderstorm. So she waited till the last minute to say, "Oh, I'm not gonna make it." And remind you, the videographer and the people that's in the scene, they already at the location waiting on her to show up. So you wait till you didn't even cancel in advance to say, "Oh, I'm not gonna make it." So you got them there waiting on you. So it was the last minute. It was the last minute swap. So somebody else had to play her role. So when the episode came out, you know, she called me and was like, "I don't like how I'm portrayed," because she was just saying that, you know, because the B word was talking. She thought we did it on purpose. I said, "No, we didn't do this on purpose. You chose not to show up at the last minute. So this is business. We got to keep rolling. Like this show not just about you." So she took that. She already took offense to that, and then, you know, she made herself sound like a hypocrite. She was like, "Oh well, if Tyler Perry cast me, I would let them cuss me out any type of way because I'm getting paid." I said, "But now you sounding like a hypocrite. So you saying if you was getting paid, you'll let them call you bitches and all out your name, but since you're not getting paid for this, you got a problem with it." So yeah, she was mad about that for a while. But I said, we did everything right. You know, we told you about the scene. And then she also made this gesture, "I'm not doing nothing for the whole month of April." And I told y'all that. I said, "But you popping out to other people's events though." So we watching all this on Facebook. So then I remember we talked about it on the phone as like business. And I called in a lie. She couldn't even say anything. I said, "So you knew that what the show came with, you know, you knew how many episodes that we had to do, right? But you know, you choosing, cause I think she was mad. She felt like I'm giving people support, but ain't nobody supporting me." I said, "Okay, but at the same time, if you're not," and this goes for anybody, if you're not sharing anybody's content on Facebook, if you barely share anybody's stuff, you can't expect them to pour all their love into you. You know, you have to reciprocate the energy. Yes. That's just like you get mad at me because I can't come to your show, but you don't support me, you don't share nothing I got going on. So you can't get mad at me because I didn't pop out the one show. Right. And yeah, she got mad, don't nobody support. Well, did you forget this was when we did this capping, when we casted the people, this was signed up. This is a job. We weren't signed up, you know, it wasn't the obligation saying, "Oh, we got to support this person." I mean, genuine people gonna gonna do real things, but I mean, it's not a rule saying that we have to support you, you know, it's not mandatory. So, right. You know, keep that in mind. You know, you got to keep that in mind too. That goes for anybody, you know.
No, I feel that. And I feel like there's multiple things going on here, right? So her issue with words that she felt, right, were demeaning, right? Let me tell y'all, I'm gonna say this on camera. They can't call me no bitch on camera. I would make that very clear up front. You know what I mean? Like, you see what I'm saying? I'm not gonna go into something knowing what the script is and knowing how y'all, you know, and then be like, "Oh, well, I didn't like." You can't backtrack. You either have one set of values or you don't. You know what I mean?
Exactly, yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like you can't bring that up now that you have an issue. And the only reason you brought it up is after you had sidestepped and did all this wrong stuff. Like, that's what irritates me more than anything is if you try to hold someone accountable, or you know that somebody has done you kind of wrong or whatever, and you just wait and see, but then they come to you with animosity in how they address whatever it is that they feel that you did to do, you know. And I mean, it goes back to what we were talking about with that scenario that you mentioned, the lack of investment in things, right? Where people, again, money is not, they don't understand what it looks like as a resource. So you're doing this show and you have people who are like, okay, maybe I'm not getting paid or whatever, but I'm investing my time. I'm investing my skills, I'm investing my energy, because there's a return on it. You know, I understand what it's like to put myself out there and get the return. It's not going to happen overnight. You know what I mean? Right. It never does. Okay? But investing in something, doing something just for the hell of it, saying, hey, my friend's doing this, again, you're there to support the project. But like you said, it's also a business in that you signed on to do this. You know what I mean? Like, because if it was me, right, like when I'm doing performance and stuff, yeah, I mean, we're business partners, so I'm gonna send y'all my stuff like, hey, y'all pop out. Of course I want that support, but again, that's not obligated. It's not part of the contract. You know what I mean? And so that's the thing, is like, you can't compare, you know, contractual obligations to, oh, well, y'all don't do well, okay, but then there's other stuff that we do that y'all don't do, and then the stuff that you even signed up for, you not even coming and honoring the commitment. So it's like all these layers on top of things, and it's frustrating because people will try to weaponize their own issues, and it's like, again, you can't be mad about boundaries you didn't communicate. You know what I mean? Like, if I felt like it was a skit and it was something, I'm like, I'm uncomfortable doing this, I'm telling y'all while we're filming. You know what I mean? I'm not waiting until it's brought up. I'm not waiting until somebody else did it. I'm not even in the shit, and now I'm mad about it, talking about, oh, well, you wasn't even there. Right. So how can you be mad? Don't bring it up later to try to, you know, pick at somebody as why you have an issue, and why to explain your lack of commitment, etc., or to bring up and be petty and, you know, just start something. Bring up the issue the way that a person brings up an issue who actually wants to get it solved, as opposed to just using it as, like, you know, a pissing contest, for lack of a better word.
And what's so crazy is we had one of our cast members, shout out to Donna, she was going to school and she still made time for the project.
People make time for what they want to make time for. We've heard that before.
Still made time for the project. She still popped out to she was on time for every scene we needed her for, so she was never late. So, like I said, people gonna make time for what they want to make time for.
Yes. And it's like, people, I saw this once, people be like, oh, well, I was tired. You have all these reasons, valid probably reasons, as to why you felt that you could not make time for this or did not want to make time for it. But it all boils down to, if it was important to you, you would do it whether you felt like it or not. When I go to work, I don't feel like going to work, but I got my bills got to be paid. You know what I mean? Right. It's a lot of stuff. Listen, let me tell you, especially like writing, composing music, there's a lot of times where I get stuck and I'm like, I have to hammer this out. I have to play this note and hear it by ear. I can't just auto, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of times I'm building harmonies and I know that this, mathematically, I know this note and this note, but I'm like, something right, I don't want to have to sit down and actually hear it out and hum it out. But I know that that's what I have to do to get my art done. You know what I mean? I show up for the things that are important. And a lot of times it's not convenient. You don't want to wash the dishes at night, but you know you're not supposed to leave them in the sink overnight. It's little things like that. You're not going to always feel like it. It's crazy because that's what Kaz was talking about last week, was just like, you got to be disciplined. Right. You're not going to always be motivated, but show up. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, it resonates.
And just like about 3 years ago, me and Drizzy was in a situation with two other guys where we was working on a short film. Me and his drive was the same, but the other two, they were just there to be there. Right. They was worrying about being outside. They was worrying about trying to smoke. So the vision just went. The vision just went there.
Just went there. Yeah.
The vision. Then previously, I was in a situation with one of my used to be homies. It got to a point where my drive went up and his was all the way down. You know, he didn't want to go to business meetings. He didn't want to travel. Like, his creative thinking was off. It's just like I say, you gotta consider who you go into business with, and you know, that's just how it is. And then, like I say, once y'all have to cut ties, because the guy the situation before him, me and him ain't spoken 3 years, and it's over. You know how the business ended. You know, so it's like,
yeah. Look, it's sad, man. It's sad. Man, I had a point, and I'm gonna come back to it because it low key left. Because when you said that, it something different resonated. But like, it's just your friend and your business. The whole thing of don't mix them is just know where to draw the line. You know what I mean? Like, if we in business or whatever, if business is business, I'm not bringing our friendship into it. If you fucking with my money, you fucking with my money. But also as a friend, it's knowing that, okay, maybe on business, we might have our little issues or whatever, but that's not going to govern how I see you as a friend if you are showing up as a friend. If you're somebody who, okay, you show up to the business and you do it, let's say you work your hardest, but it's just not for you. You're just not whatever. You just not getting it. You know what I mean? I'm not taking that and saying that you're a bad person or a bad friend just because, you know, it's not for you. You know what I mean? Because it was about the point that I made earlier was talking about how, like, okay, a friend steps up and either becomes or leaves. You know what I mean? It's knowing when that line is. It's that it all goes back to that. And then you were talking about the guy who, like, you know, he's just kind of not feeling it, whatever. You know when someone wants to be in a place. You know what I mean? You know when someone wants to be somewhere. And you just have to want it. You have to want it more than the next person. That's what it all boils down to. And the sad thing is a lot of people don't realize, you know, they think they want something or, you know, it sounds cool or whatever, but they don't really have that same drive, the same passion. I know once, because we were talking about, you guys had asked me, you were like, hey, do you think that so-and-so and so-and-so is passionate about, and y'all was like, be honest. Because you know me, I try to like say things about people very calmly, you know, but you know what I mean? But it's like the truth is the truth. And I was honest, I said, hey, look, I don't think they're passionate, but that doesn't mean that I think that they are treating it with any apathy or indifference or, you know, lack of care. They just might need a little bit of time to let that grow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But once you give it somebody the time, and I always tell people, you got to give everybody at least one chance. You know what I mean? And you put them where you think that they're appropriate. You see who takes the opportunity and runs with it. Because, you know, there's a lot of times we're so fortunate, right? Because we keep waking up every day. We keep waking up every day. We keep waking up every day. So we think that we have the chance to do everything. But some things really never come twice in a lifetime. And you have to see who treats the right now with that mentality. Because, okay, sure, maybe 5 years from now y'all will still have SMA or whatever, but what if 5 years from now y'all don't? And that could be because y'all decided to go on a whole new route, or because it grew to something that's bigger than, you know what I mean, and it had to change because it grew to something else. This is not going to exist forever. And so whoever doesn't treat this opportunity like, you know, it won't come around more than once in a lifetime, like, you know, that's where the energy lies, you know? Because you got people who, they'll show up and they'll be on time, etc., but their energy just not there. You know, I'd rather you be 5-10 minutes late, but you come, you give that, I'm so sorry, it'll never happen again. Yes, it will. You're going to be late next week. But now I've decided, okay, whatever it is that you have to give is worth the trade-off for me. And I think that that's the other side of it, too, is like, you know, what we're not willing to tolerate is what we're not willing to tolerate, okay? But if somebody gives something that's more than that, you know what I mean? It's learning how to not throw the baby out with the bathwater, you know what I mean? Right. It's some hard lines. There's certain things you just cannot do, absolutely. But then there's other things that's like, would I normally tolerate this? No, but there's always an exception. And it's finding, you know, the people who fit the kind of the energy and the integrity of the project you're doing, as opposed to hitting these checklists or whatever. But that all comes from, do they just look like they want to be here? That's it. And then
Drizzy, you know, a couple of years back, before we even started getting into film, we was messing around with the music. He watched me. It was a group of guys we was working with. His brother, he watched me be the engineer. I was making sure they shows got booked. I was making sure they got rides to the studio, and asked me, did they appreciate anything I did, bro?
No.
That's crazy.
They didn't appreciate
that.
Nope.
Now, was it like they didn't thank you? They didn't, like, what, like on a scale of 1 to 10, like 1 is like, oh, they just didn't say thank you, and 10 is like they actively went out their way to like show me that they give a fuck. You know what I mean? Like,
these brothers, I got word. They be talking behind my back. They be talking behind my back. And remind you, nobody paid me for y'all was in my house recording, and y'all didn't pay me for no lack of studio time. I never once tried to charge y'all. but I get word, y'all got the audacity to talk about me. I said, y'all do realize y'all go anywhere else, y'all gotta pay for studio time. Y'all not getting no free studio time. But then Drizzy, it got to a point where, you know, he started backing up. He didn't want to be around them, you know.
Yeah.
Cause it's like y'all leeches at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, like y'all leeches. Like I'm not trying. At least y'all think y'all can do is appreciate. You know, I'm helping y'all get shows. I'm the reason why they shot their first video and paid majority. One dude that was in the video, he was the actual artist. He only put $10 in the video, but had so much to say about it. Oh, this one right, that one right. I said, but you waited too late to say something. You waited till the video came out and you had so much to say about it. But yeah, I said, did you tell people you only put $10 in though? So I bet you didn't tell them that part though.
Yep. Because they never tell that. It was what I was saying to you when we were talking, because I was talking about how a lot of times you have people who forget that they also make mistakes. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, all the grace that you give somebody is because you know that at one point you probably needed that grace yourself. You're probably going to need that grace yourself going forward. Mm-hmm. I saw this tweet and it was basically like, you know, actually I think it was a series of Instagram posts. I don't know, whatever. But whole point, it was a social media post and they were just talking about how, you know, people think, oh, well, you know, I have these good morals and these good values, whatever. If I was in a position of power, I would be completely different. It's like, no, there's going to come a point where you abuse that power. Right. Every single person in this situation will do that, whether that's intentionally or whether that is unwittingly. And it's all about how you show up. Do you say, you know what, yeah, I did that, I was wrong, I'm sorry, and fix it? Or do you hide, do you lie, do you sneak, you know what I mean? And people forget, it's like you've been given a lot of grace. So for you to not show that back is crazy, because look at all the shit that we got to put up with just to deal with your ass. You know what I mean? And it's a hard thing, especially when you know, like you said, nobody else is giving y'all free studio time. That's the type of stuff that will ruin a person's generosity. You know what I mean? You can't let it ruin you. You just have to kind of, you know how to put those people in a box and deal with them. But it is hard because it does make you more scrutinized. It does make you a little bit more discerning of, okay, well, this situation happened and I don't want to stop giving, but I know that there just has to be different parameters around what I'm able to give and how I'm able to show up for people, because I can't risk the way that this affects me in the end if stuff was to go left. You just start learning how to protect yourself and start learning how to have that built in, you know, before the fact, so that inevitably the result is that you do become a bit more trusting and a bit more able to be like, hey, well, I can see you did this, I gave you this opportunity and you fucked this shit up. I got you at line one, so now my feelings not hurt. And I can just be very decisive and move on quickly.
But see, the problem was most of them, you know, we had a whole group chat and all that. The main problem was most of them were introverts, and they was trying to learn how to communicate with each other.
Oh my God.
Just imagine that you in the studio. Okay. You got all this energy in the studio, but it's like outside the studio, y'all barely talk to each other. So y'all got all this energy in the studio, like, without to have to make these songs, but outside the studio, y'all don't really fuck with each other. And then, you know, it was a whole group chat. We barely was active, and they barely. The group chat is for how, like, you know, when if I got an idea about the podcast, that's what the group chat is for. But it's like instead of us talking like men in the group chat, y'all calling each other on the phone, gossiping. Like that's girl shit. Like, who does that? Like, this is what the group chat is for. We got problems with each other. Then another thing, none of y'all stay that far from me. So if y'all don't want to do it over the group chat, y'all can come. Let's talk face to face about it.
That's sad. You know, I just think it all stems from people not really knowing anymore how to be in community with each other. And I want to define what I mean here, because it gets muddled a lot, especially on social media, right? It's not just, oh my God, we have the same vibes, and we have the same interests, and we have the same hobbies. No, it's none of that. Like, it's not even a set of shared values or morals, although that is a building block of it. It's more, we have a shared investment in each other's survival. Like, I recognize and affirm and actively support your right to exist by maintaining maintaining the resources that we have to share with one another, regardless of whether I like you and can maintain an intimate relationship with you, right? Like, your fucking nosy ass neighbor down the street, right? I don't have to give a fuck about that bitch. But at the end of the day, if I see that, you know, she falls down in her yard or something, I'm going over there and helping her. If her mail gets delivered to my house, I'm going over there and I'm giving it to her. If she comes and asks me for a cup of sugar, damn, okay, Susan, I got the sugar. Shit, I might even invite her ass in for a cup of coffee. You know what I mean? Like, just knowing how to get along with people. And so the sad thing is people, and this was what, going back to what I was saying, a lot of people think that they're in friendships. They're not really even in friendships. They don't know how to be a friend. Right. You know what I mean? They're there for each other energy, right. Or they're there because, everything is transactional. Everything, there's an agenda. It's not to say that there is anything wrong with transactional situations. It's not to say that not everybody has an agenda. Everything that you do has an agenda. But when it's only about your agenda is the only value of that interaction, and everybody in that space is coming in there like that, and it's so normalized that people don't see it as the veiled hostility that it really is, then that's why there's no fostering of any community, no fostering of any friendships. And when issues happen, people they get petty and start talking about each other and start, going back and forth, because they're not actively in a space where they can resolve conflict and can talk about these, because they have no relationship. They don't have a relationship. Their only relationship it's barely even a business partnership. It's really just it's like proximity. They're just proximal to one another. They're literally just in the same space, occupying space together. Yeah. That's it. It's really sad, and it all comes down to, like, again, it's knowing people and having that grace for people to understand, like, everybody is not going to be everything that you want and need them to be. Right. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the neighbor down the street, okay, she get on your nerves because, she play music and late at night or whatever, and you trying to study or whatever. But also, she's the first one on the street, that got home-baked cookies for everybody at Christmas. Like, it's a give and a take. Mm-hmm. And it's learning how to take the good with the bad. It's learning, yes, sometimes the bad that's a hard line, but outside of those very, very intense, very specific situations, like, most people, you can just take them and leave them, Mm-hmm. It's like, until you have a problem with me, I really don't have a problem with most people. You have to be doing something crazy, or just be generally, like, just an unlikable person for me to really not fuck with you. Exactly. And it's just, we need to start having more of that mindset towards the people that we see around us, because that is how we bring it into our relationships, the ones that we've chosen, the friends that we say, if this your friend, well, show up like a friend. Don't just show up like not even somebody in community showing up. You just occupying space together. But it all starts with knowing that if you can't provide community, of course you can't provide friendship, and That's where the fall off is. Yeah,
you're right. Mm-hmm.
So, man, y'all know I can talk about it all day because I see it every day with people. Oh, shit. Ooh, we got a visitor.
I'll walk with.
Yeah, if you want to, yeah.
Yeah, man. Any thoughts, Drizzy? What you think about it, bro?
I would say leave our egos at the door and we do a little different next time. That's what I feel like. We do better contracts and stuff, and we talk about it before we shoot. That's what I feel. So that I would change next time if we do a series.
Mm-hmm. And then that way people know that you mean business, because a lot of problems come from it ain't no contract, it's just trusting people. It's just, you trust the people off the strength, and then you find out they bite you in the ass. Right. And then now you realize, I should have stood 10 toes on business. Cause I just made a status on Facebook about cancellation. If you got respect for the person, let them know if they booked you for something. Let them know days in advance. I'm not gonna make it. Or if you're not good with scheduling, hire a manager. Hire somebody to balance things out for you. Right. Just not saying that, that's so unprofessional.
Right. Like, don't play with my time, because that's the one thing you can't get back. I can get my money back, okay? Mm-hmm. I go to sleep every night. I'm gonna get my energy back. I'm not gonna get my time back. And that's the one thing. Like, if you gonna cancel in a reasonable time frame. If you're gonna be late, communicate that. But don't play with my time.
Nah.
because I won't be here forever. I always say somebody got to die. It's got to be me. You know, so. Nah, people think, I think the other thing is there's just kind of a stigma too with artists, you know, people think, oh, it's just art. You know, they think, they don't think they have to take it seriously. It's like, I'm not just doing this to twiddle my thumbs. Like, this is something I'm very passionate about. This is something that I want to be present for. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to make money for people to take it seriously, but it's also like, everything is a money move, if you really think about it. And like I said, it never happens overnight, but people be sleep as fuck. And I'm like, if y'all can't understand that everything you do is there's a action, right, and it causes a reaction, and although that chain of reactions, that series of events, you know, it leads you where you're supposed to be at. If you can't be present in the moment, what are you here for? We get one earth, we get one life. If you're not taking full advantage of it, what are you here for? So.
And then me and Drizzy had this talk all the time about, you know, like people, when it comes to y'all work on the project, people not investing, people not putting in. And, you know, I remember one of our friends told us, well, people got this attitude, you know, where if y'all ask them to come on board, they feel like they shouldn't have to give any money. I said, yeah, that's true, but at the same time, y'all benefiting from this because y'all getting exposure. Y'all don't know who's gonna watch this. So, I mean, I feel like, no, we not begging y'all to get no money. The right thing to do would be like, you know, do y'all need something? If you can even give $10, $10, show your appreciation that you're happy to be here. Yeah. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, it's a co-op, right? This is a platform that supports artists, so it's a co-op. You know, everybody is investing in the longevity of the program and of the resources used to create it. And a lot of times it's about approach, you know what I mean, too. It's not wrong to ask, you know what I mean, but what I found, and this is just in my particular line of work, people are very much more apt to give if they feel like it's a donation, right? You got to make them think it was their idea, you know what I mean? Talking about, hey, we're doing ad sponsorships or whatever, you know, we're just sending this, okay. And then if you see who these donors are, the people who are actively chipping in, give them more time. Give them more time on your slot, on your like actual like slots for your shows. The people who aren't as less, okay, still have them on, but just have kind of a system to who you give your space and time to that is reflective of the energy that they're putting in back. And again, it's not transactional, it's reciprocal. It's the idea of we provide the platform, you've chipped in, and now you also get more time, and that gives us more exposure. It's a symbiotic, it's a mutualistic relationship. It helps everybody. But if somebody is using the platform, they're not putting in, okay, you can use the platform, but there are certain benefits of the platform that aren't, like you get out what you put in, you know? Like there are certain benefits of the platform that aren't going to be available to you because your effort is what. And that's with anything. Like if I say, okay, I want to write a song, but then I'm just sitting there and I got the keyboard and I put a couple notes together or whatever, and I'm not really thinking about it and I'm not playing my instrument, you know? The songs I want to get as opposed to the person that's sitting there and opposed to the person that's actually taking the time to write and the person that's actually taking the time to listen to other artists' music and really resonate and think, right? It's going to be two completely different things, and they all have their space and time, but people appreciate effort just a little bit more, you know what I mean? And that's really all it boils down to, is the effort is the level of, it's a reflection of how much they appreciate you. And that's what you were saying before. It's like those guys were using all this free studio time and they fugazi talking shit about you behind your back. They had too much access for the appreciation that they were able to give you. So yeah.
But as we wrap this up, you know, one thing I can say about this when you're missing friendship and business, you know, watch who you let in your circle. I say, you know, just because y'all been friends, if it's been 10 years or more, don't mean y'all got the same vision. You know, that don't mean y'all both want the same dream.
Right.
So I would say stay motivated always. You know, watch who you let in, watch who you know, share your ideas with, because people will jack your ideas, and just stay true to yourself. You know, don't let nobody ever tell you what you can and can't do. So
that's it. For sure. We are. Stay motivated always. For sure.
This been another episode of Conversations with Dmon and Drizzy, co-host Nisha, episode 20, and we out.